was a church in Hampstead that was purchased, I believe, by George Martin some years ago and turned into a fantastic recording studio. And as soon as Hans Zimmer said he was going to do the film, he said, and I want to record at this studio, because he said it used to be a church and it's appropriate and we need those acoustics. And so, he's got the choir where it might have been when it was a church upstairs. The musicians are playing at the base of the giant organ. So it does feel all too correct. And on top of everything else, we're on Roslyn Hill, and Lady Roslyn just visited us of Roslyn Chapel. So I don't know, there's just a lot of all roads leading to trying to break the Da Vinci Code.
Ron and I were talking about doing the interview for the anniversary edition of the Backdraft DVD. And right at the end of the conversation, I said, "So what are you doing next?" And he said, "I'm going to be doing Da Vinci Code." And I don't censor myself, so the things that poured out of my mouth were, "Oh, that's impossible. It's impossible to make it into a movie." I was instantly aware of the enormous problems he would have turning something like that into a movie. And I thought that was it. We were just having a chat. The last thing I wanted to do was tackle this. I just thought it was an interesting intellectual exercise to just talk about this for a moment and then basically go, I'm sure there are better composers who can handle this thing, because it's daunting. I mean, and an hour later or so, my agent phoned and said, "What did you say to Ron?" I'm going, "Why? Did I offend him or something?" No, he would really like you to do the movie. And I did talk to a few of my friends about before saying yes. Was I up to the task? Tony, cellos 1 have a Q in 27 to 29. Can you play that?
Yeah. Well, Backdraft is the only time that we've worked together prior to this movie. We've talked about it a few other times, but he's very much in demand. With each film, I really feel that the music has a chance to be another character, important, significant factor in a movie. And I knew that this movie, with its many dimensions, that it was challenging, it was complex, and and also it's very much a European film. And I felt that Hans's sensibility as a European, in fact, would be consistent in keeping with what we're trying to get in the movie.
There are a couple of things in here, exactly that idea of reinventing the way you play things. I mean, we have these historical flashbacks, which I could easily have done in the style of Gladiator. But I do think I managed to figure out a new way of doing it.
Hundreds, the Templars had grown too powerful, too threatening. So the Vatican issued secret orders to be opened simultaneously all across Europe.
Ultimately, the whole thing became about Ron letting me loose and letting me be inventive. And I worked a long time on this thing. So I spent a lot of time doing research. I filled up, at one point, while Ron was shooting, he said, just send me some music, not things I had written, but just things that could be inspiring, etc. And I went down a list of 300 CDs, and I went, I can't send him 300 CDs, it'll kill him, It's like, so I made up, like the greatest hits of, what did I put in? I did put in Mozart, I did put in, medieval music, all sorts of things, and in a funny way, we didn't end up in any of those places, and that was the good thing. We ended up inventing. And it's been this incredible balancing act between trying to maintain the idea of a thriller, but at the same time trying to write, it's a dangerous word to use, but I'll use it anyway, something which is a bit more of the spiritual world, or a bit more otherworldly as well. Like, one of the things which I thought would be interesting is the book deals a lot with the divine feminine. which is the antithesis in music to anything heroic. You know, I mean, if you think of a heroic theme, you think Wagner, Siegfried, you know, it's all guys. It's guys and bloodshed, you know, Dirty Harry, I don't know, whatever. You don't ever think of a way of writing, you know, Debussy wrote in a very feminine style, or he could tap into this, you know, to use more those shapes, those chords, those sounds, etc., and still maintain the idea of a thriller, but in a way make that a relevant undercurrent throughout the movie.
The choir definitely reminds us, you know, sort of the underpinnings and the importance of religion as a kind of a factor in every character's existence in the story. So certainly on a musical level, we needed to find ways to reflect that. But I really think that he came up with an exceptional blend of musical ideas that are really, really exciting to listen to. You know, sort of ancient sounds blended with very contemporary sounds, you know, moments that are lush and sort of classical and rich, and other moments that are just, you know, harrowing and terrifying. And he also operated with the individual journeys of the characters. You know, there's a fantastic Langdon theme, a Sophie theme. There's a Silas theme. And he really acknowledged the personal journeys that the characters were taking and going on, and he made it all of a piece. It's a great soundtrack to listen to.
You know, as I was sort of tapping around in the dark, you know, trying to figure things out. The big clue for me really was the Iron-Pei pyramid at the Louvre. How something so modern can live in a amazingly, you know, a timeless world or a world of history, and it fits in perfectly. And I mean, yes, that end piece is actually all about that pyramid. And I wrote that end piece in September, and not to picture, obviously, there wasn't any picture. One of the things Ron said to me early on is, he said, you know, oh, your job is to give me an epiphany. And I'm going, that's a tall order. You know, that's hard to do. I don't know how to do that, you know. And Ron, being a pragmatist and knowing that I have put the pro into procrastination, kept saying, what about the end? What are we going to do at the end? And I said, well, I have this piece, I have this piece. And he kept nagging, you know, the way a good director is supposed to. And I finally went, okay, let's just put it up against the picture. And it hits every cut and it does everything. But, you know, because the movie is influenced, even in a subconscious way, by the idea of the Fibonacci sequence, by getting your geometry right, by trying to find balance and good shapes, etc. So, you know, it wasn't an enormous surprise to me that this would actually fit, that there's an emotional payoff in it.
She rests at last beneath starry skies.